Respected teachers and my dear friends, today I am here to present my seminar topic on subject Environment Impact Assessment from the Module 2 Process and Methods of EIA. The contents are the evaluation and assessment of impact, assessment of effects on human beings, flora, fauna and geology, then mitigation measures, public consultation and participation, and the fourth one, environment impact statement preparation. The first one is the evaluation and impact assessment. These are the methods for assessing the effects of policies, projects, or measures. They are used to determine the need for policy changes, generate knowledge for future decision making, and provide evidence of the suitability of decisions. Impact evaluation analyzes the adequacy of the design, including the suitability of the design and process of the intervention, the appropriateness of the cost, and the competence of the intervention and its implementation. The impact assessment examines the effects of changes to a business, including the environmental, health, social, and economic impacts of development proposals. The evaluation of impact. The evaluation research, also known as program evaluation, refers to research purpose instead of a specific method. Evaluation research is a systematic assessment of the worth or merit of time, money, effort, and resource spent in order to achieve a goal. Evaluative research is undertaken to assess the worth or success of something, a program, a policy, or a project. Social evaluation is not a method or technique like social surveys or participant observation. Evaluations replicate classic scientific experimental method, and it is also known as program evaluation. The evaluation research is a common research design that entails carrying out a structured assessment of the value of resources committed to a project or specific goal. Evaluation methods are the criteria for evaluating the success of a program or a project. Evaluation methods allow the donor a way to know if you have achieved your goals and objectives. And impact evaluation relies on a rigorous method to determine the changes in outcomes which can be attributed to a specific intervention based on cause and effect analysis. Then, impact assessment. It is a means of measuring the effectiveness of organizational activities and judging the significance of changes brought about by those activities. It is neither art or science but both. The policy impact assessment are formal, evidence-based procedures that assess the economic, social, and environmental effects of public policy, where they are incorporated into policy making to make it more transparent and hence acceptable. Impact assessment also assesses both intended and unintended impacts of value chain projects, measure the magnitude of the impacts, and determine the causal factors underlying the impacts. The impact studies determine one important factor: change. New policies are implemented to foster a change within the system to benefit individuals or an organization. The measure of the result changes from new policy. These types of studies inform policymakers about potential economic, social, and environmental effects. An impact assessment is a process for identifying, predicting, and evaluating the environmental, health, social, and economic impacts of the development proposals before allowing them to proceed. This process includes opportunities for public engagement as well as indigenous engagement, reconciliation, and partnership. It is an evaluation whose purpose is to attribute the outcomes and impacts to project operations. The environmental impact assessment is defined as an activity designed to identify the impact on biogeophysical environment, on man and well-being of legislative proposals, projects, policies, and operational procedures, and to interpret and communicate information. EA is a systematic process of identifying future consequences of a current or a proposed action. The objectives are to identify, predict, and evaluate the economic, environmental, and social impact of development activities, and to provide information on the environmental consequences for decision making, and to promote environmentally sound and sustainable development through the identification of checklist means a listing of potential environmental impacts. This method is done to assess the nature of the impacts, that is, its types such as adverse, beneficial, short term or long term, no effect or significant impact, reversible or irreversible, etc. The impact effects are: the environmental impacts affects human, flora and fauna in many ways, including the climate change, pollution, air pollution, water pollution, light pollution, habit destruction, acid rain, etc. By elaborating this, we all know that the burning of fossil fuels and other human activities release greenhouse gases that trap heat in the atmosphere, which causes earth temperature to rise, and this warming leads to extreme weather events, wildfires, and other climate impacts that threaten the human health and well-being. Then the pollution from air, water, and light can have harmful effects on humans, flora, and fauna. The air pollution from industrial emissions and vehicle exhaust. Air pollution can cause smoke and respiratory problems, and also the climate changes. When pollutants are discharged into rivers and oceans, it threatens aquatic ecosystems and human health by drinking the water, disrupt natural ecosystem and the behavior of non-cultural creatures, which causes light pollutions. Then habitat destruction. Human activities like deforestation and pollution destroy habitats, which can lead to species loss. When one species disappears, it can affect the food chain of the other species, which can lead to the collapse of an entire ecosystem. Acid rain. It is caused by the release of fossil fuels and exhaust of nitrogen oxides and sulfur dioxide from automobiles. Acid rain can harm aquatic animals, trees, and monuments also. Then mitigation measures. Public consultation and participation is a key part of the environmental impact assessment process, and it can help to improve environmental assessment and the projects that are developed. Here are some ways that public participation can help with environmental impact mitigation. The first one is expressing views. Public consultation allows stakeholders to share their concerns, suggestions, and views on a proposed project and its potential impacts. Improving environmental assessments. Greater public participation can lead to better environment assessments, which can result in projects that have fewer environmental costs, greater social benefits, and greater economic and financial benefits. Public involvements in the EAA process. It is a flowchart which shows about public involvements in the EAA processing. The first thing is the proposal identification, and then it is screened. Then it goes to EAA required. If it is required, then scoping and impact analysis is done, and then mitigation and impact management is carried on. After that, EAA report will be done, then it is reviewed, then decision making. If it is approved, the implementation and follow-up will be carried on, and if it is not approved, it should re-resign and resubmit. And in the first stage of screening, the alternative step is initial environmental examination, and if no EAA is required, nothing will happen will be later. If it is have to EAA required, the other steps will be carried on. And the scoping, the public involvement is taken to be for scoping, and for review also public involvement is carried out. Then, nearly all EIA systems make provision for some type of public involvement. This term includes public consultation or and public participation, which is a more interactive and intensive process of stakeholder engagement. Most EIA processes are undertaken through the consultation rather than the participation. At a minimum, public involvement must provide an opportunity for those directly affected by a proposal to express their views regarding the proposal and its environmental and social impacts. The purpose of public involvement is to inform the stakeholders about the proposal and its likely effects and canvass their inputs, views, and concerns and take account of the information and views of public in the EIA and decision making. The key objectives of public involvement are to obtain local and traditional knowledge that may be useful for decision making, then to facilitate consideration of alternatives, mitigation measures and trade-offs, training session outline, then to ensure that important impacts are not overlooked and benefits are maximized, reduce conflict through the early identification of continuous issues, then provide an opportunity for the public to influence project design in a positive manner, thereby creating a sense of ownership of the proposal, and it improve transparency and accountability of decision making, and it increase public confidence in the EIA process. As participants see their ideas are helping to improve proposal, they gain confidence and self-esteem by exchanging ideas and information with others who have different values and views. These are the levels and forms of public involvement. The first thing is informing, information from the proponent to the public. Then consulting, two-way flow of information between the proponent and the public with opportunities for the public to express views on the proposal. Then third one is participating, interactive exchange between the proponent and the public encompassing the shared analysis and agenda setting and the development of understood and agreed position on the proposal and its impacts. And negotiating, face-to-face discussion between the proponent and key stakeholders to build consensus and reach a mutually acceptable resolution of issues. For example, on a package of impact mitigation and compensation measures. Then the fourth one is Environment Impact Statement Preparation. The National Environment Policy Act, NEPA, this is also known to be NEPA, requires federal agencies to conduct an environmental impact statement for major actions that could have significant impacts on the environment. Under NEPA, environment includes natural and physical environment such as air, water, geography, geology, as well as people relationship with the environment such as health, safety, jobs, schools, housing and aesthetics. And EIS looks at both short-term and long-term effects and considers possible measures to reduce or mitigate those effects. The EIS process. An EIS is environmental impact statement is prepared in a series of steps, gathering government and public comments to define the issues that should be analyzed in the EIS. And it is a process also known to be scoping. It is defined to issues that should be analyzed in a processing. It should be analyzed there. The gathering of government and public should analyze the issue, and then preparing the draft EIS, receiving and responding to public comments on the draft EIS, and then preparing the final EIS. Decisions are not made in an EIS. Rather, the EIS analysis is one of several factors decision makers consider. The decision is announced in the record of decision after final EIS has been published. Then scoping. Scoping means a federal agency begins the scoping process for an EIS by publishing a notice of intent NOI in the Federal Register to let the public know that it is considering an action and will prepare an EIS. So, the NOI describes the proposed action and may provide background information on issues and potential impacts. During the scoping period, the public can provide comments on its proposed action, alternatives, issues, and environmental impacts to be analyzed in the EIS. Scoping may involve public meetings and other means to obtain public comments on the EIS. Then, draft EIS. The preparation of draft EIS is the next step in the process. The draft EIS presents, analyzes, and compares the potential environmental impacts for the proposed action and alternatives and their implementation, and provides additional information on the methodologies and assumptions used for the analysis. A notice of availability (NOA) is published in the Federal Register announcing the availability of the draft EIS for public review and comment. The NOA begins a minimum 45-day comment period. Public comments on the draft EIS are considered in the preparation of the final EIS. Then the final EIS. Once a public comment period on the draft EIS has been completed, a final EIS is prepared and distributed. Responses to public comments on the draft EIS are included in the final EIS. Record of decision. After the final EIS is published, a minimum 30-day waiting period is required before a ROD can be issued. The ROD notifies the public of the decision made on the proposed action and presents the reason for that decision. The decision-making process may include consideration of factors such as cost, technical feasibility, agency statutory missions, and national objectives, as well as the potential environmental impacts of an action. No action can be taken until the decision has been made public. These are the steps in the EIS process. Notice of the intent to prepare EIS, then scoping process, notice of availability of draft EIS, then public comments on draft EIS, then notice of availability of final EIS, and record decision. These are the steps in the EIS process. So, our seminar is ended by these 4 topics. Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity and have a nice day.